Today, we're diving into one of the most bizarre and, frankly, brilliant crime sprees in modern history. I mean, this is a case that absolutely terrified an entire nation, brought huge corporations to their knees, and get this, it remains completely unsolved. And the whole thing starts in, well, probably the last place you'd ever expect.
So, how does a nightmare like that even begin? For Japan, back in 1984, it wasn't with some huge explosion or a dramatic heist. No, it started with the quiet sound of a bathroom door being forced open.
Just try to put yourself in the situation. It's March 18th, 1984. You're Katsuhisa Ezaki, the CEO of this giant food company, Glico. You're finally relaxing, soaking in the tub after a long day, and then bam! Two armed, masked men burst into your bathroom and literally drag you out of your own home. And believe it or not, this was just the beginning.
I mean, everything happened so fast. Ezaki gets whisked away to some warehouse in Osaka. A huge ransom demand is made. But then, just 3 days into this thing, in a twist nobody saw coming, Ezaki just escapes on his own. The police are barely getting their investigation off the ground, and their main victim is already free. You'd think that'd be the end of it, right? Nope. The case was just getting started.
So what was the price for his freedom? Just a cool $4.5 million. Oh, and 100 kilograms of solid gold bars. No big deal.
And let's put that into perspective for a second. This wasn't just a lot of money. This was the single largest ransom demand in the entire history of Japan. These guys were not messing around. They were going for a score that would make them legends. Okay, so Ezaki is free. The ransom was never paid. The story's over, right? Wrong. It turns out the kidnapping was never really the main event. It was just an announcement, a statement of intent. The real terror, this cruel, twisted game they were playing, was only just getting started.
This is when the letters started. And we're talking dozens of them. They weren't just sending them to the company, they were sending them straight to the media, turning the whole thing into a public circus. They were openly mocking the police, dropping these weird clues, and they signed off with a name that, well, you're not going to forget it.
They called themselves the Monster with 21 Faces. Now, this name was actually ripped straight from a famous Japanese detective novel series. It was so theatrical, right? It was this clever way of creating this phantom-like persona, suggesting they were these brilliant masterminds who could change their identity at will, always staying one step ahead. And the tone of these letters? Just dripping with arrogance and contempt. I mean, listen to this direct quote. They didn't just want the money. They wanted to humiliate the police. This was a psychological war being played out for the whole country to see. But then, things took a much, much darker turn. This is the moment that sent a shockwave of fear through every single household in Japan. The monster announced that they had poisoned Glico candies with potassium cyanide. And not only that, they'd placed them on actual store shelves. Suddenly, this wasn't about a CEO anymore. This was a threat against everyone. The fallout was immediate and absolutely devastating. Glico had no choice. They had to pull every single one of their products off the shelves nationwide. The result? Total catastrophe. The company's stock just tanked, the recall costs were insane, and over 1,000 people lost their jobs. Think about that. The monster did more damage with just a threat than they ever could have with that huge ransom demand. And then, just as suddenly, another crazy twist. The monster just declares a truce with Glico. They literally sent a letter saying they were bored with them. But they weren't done. Oh no. They immediately pivoted and started going after other massive food companies. Morinaga, House Foods, you name it. It became clear this wasn't just about Glico. This was an attack on Japan's entire food industry.
So now the attacks are spreading, and the police are getting absolutely desperate. And then, finally, during an extortion attempt against another company, Maridai, they get a break, a real lead. For the first time, they might have a face to go with the phantom they've been chasing.
Okay, so here's the setup. It's a classic money drop. An undercover cop gets on a train with a bag full of cash. The plan is to wait for a signal, a white flag. Simple enough. But on the train, things start to feel off. The officer gets this feeling he's being watched, and he spots this suspicious-looking guy shadowing him. The whole train ride is incredibly tense, and the white flag never shows up. The deal's off. And just like that, the suspect vanishes into the crowded Osaka station.
So the drop fails,
But it leaves the police with this one burning question. Who was that guy on the train? Because for the very first time, they had an actual eyewitness description of someone who could be part of the monster's crew. And the description the officer gave was pretty vivid. A guy with a strong build, short, permed hair, and this one detail that stuck with everyone. He had eyes like a fox. A police sketch was made and it was plastered everywhere. He instantly became known as the fox-eyed man, and he was officially public enemy #1. But just when the police thought they were finally closing in, the monster escalated things again. And this time, they weren't just making threats about poison. They were about to make it terrifyingly real. This next move was probably their most audacious one yet. They sent letters to the media, spelling out exactly which stores had boxes of Morinaga candy that were laced with sodium cyanide. And this was no bluff. Police raced to those stores, and sure enough, they found the poisoned candy right there on the shelves. And here's the part that is just bone-chilling. Each of the poisoned boxes had a sticker on it with this exact message. It was both a warning and a taunt, almost daring someone to eat it. I mean, this is pure psychological terrorism. So the question is, how were they always one step ahead? It felt like they were psychic. Well, the answer came during another failed money drop. Police actually cornered the fox-eyed man this time, but somehow he still got away. But nearby, they found the criminal's van, and inside, a police radio scanner. They weren't just lucky. They were listening in on every single move the police were making. All of these constant failures, the public humiliation, it all started to take a devastating toll. You can just imagine the pressure on the police. They were supposed to stop these criminals who seemed completely untouchable, and the whole country was watching them fail over and over. They were at a breaking point. And then, something truly tragic happened. The police superintendent who was leading the entire investigation, a man named Yamamoto, he just couldn't bear the weight of it all anymore. He took his own life. It was just a devastating human cost in this relentless hunt for the monster. Just a few days after Yamamoto's death, the monster sent their last letter, the 144th one, and in it, they actually offered condolences for the superintendent's death, while at the same time mocking his bosses. And then, just like that, they announced they were done, retiring from the world of crime, they said. After 17 months, the terror was just over. They walked away. And by the year 2000, the statute of limitations ran out on all of their crimes. No one was ever arrested. The fox-eyed man was never found. To this day, it's one of Japan's greatest, most frustrating unsolved mysteries. And it leaves us, even now, 40 years later, with that one chilling question. Who was the monster with 21 faces?